Hi, welcome to the channel. We're here today with Melanie for our third recorded session. How's it going?
It's going pretty good today, making headway.
So we didn't do a private session last week.
We did not.
Sounds like things might be kind of coming up a little bit. Sounds like maybe some things are coming together a little bit.
Yeah, I remember you saying originally it's like in waves.
hmm
You were correct.
What's the current wave like?
Um, right now, I would say I'm pretty stable in this wave. It's not as intense. But I would say it's been like that the last few days. But before that, it was like this. One day it was like, oh, I got this. And I like had this spiritual awakening and I was so convinced that I made it. And then the next day it was like falling off a cliff.
Mm, okay. But now you're feeling more stable?
Yeah, I would say since probably about 5 days,
hmm
because I think I don't know, I had a little bit of a breakthrough. I'm being hesitant because I think it is a lifetime journey, but something happened that changed me.
Okay. Okay. All right. So where do you want to focus today? Where do you want to start?
Hmm. Yeah. I guess maybe just describe where I'm at since our last discussion, a little more detail about it
hmm
on this journey. So my issue, I say I made some headway. It was like related to being able to let go,
Hmm.
allowing whatever emotions are there to be there, not judging them and not pushing them away, and just sitting with it.
hmm
And I was having glimpses of that the last time we talked, but it would come and go. But think now I'm able to sit with it for a much more extended period of time, and I haven't really been trying to push it away. Like I said, probably for about 5 days.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Nice.
and feeling more peace about it, more calm,
Hmm.
calm surrender.
hmm
Yeah.
So what would you say the difference between being sitting with your emotions and not sitting with your emotions?
When I wasn't sitting with them, I was trying to find a distraction because I feared that it was going to hurt too much and I didn't want to feel that pain. And partly because, subconsciously it was my identity and it felt like dying. And in a way, it was a death of, I guess, the false self. That wasn't me.
Hmm.
And just focusing internally instead of externally.
hmm
And I think the key was the missing piece that I wasn't really looking at in all this is so a lot of times I'm getting better at identifying the emotion because for so many years I pushed it away, but I would know that I was uncomfortable at
Hmm.
some level. And that's the part that I didn't like. I didn't know where it was coming from, but so every time I've made a habit now that if I feel something uncomfortable in my body, I have to stop every time and ask myself, what do I need right now?
hmm
What do I need? Because in the past, I was always looking externally to get it fixed.
hmm
And it's been a challenge because it's unfamiliar that I am ultimately the only one that can fix myself. And that's scary, but empowering at the same time. And I'm learning how to do that.
hmm
So I guess I kind of am learning how to get a life because I really didn't have much of a life before.
hmm
I always hated that question. If somebody asks you, well, what do you like to do?
hmm
Let's see. I
Yeah.
sit here and ruminate about lost loves from my past and just fantasize about the perfect lover. I mean, you're not going to say that.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many hours of my day were spent daydreaming and not living.
Yeah.
An example too. So like today, I'm not feeling well at all because I had my third COVID booster. I had a fever of 100 now. In the past, that would have put me over the edge.
Hmm.
I can't take any stress in my body. I just crumble. I just want somebody to rescue me and take care of me. But I've been more accepting of discomfort. So I actually went out and raked leaves for 2 hours with a fever of 100 and body aches. That's huge because that's like a chore I didn't like to do before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It kind of let it go because of all this lately too, because of the pain and the emotional pain. But I went out there today and I did it. And I also took it a step further because I've been in this house for like 4 years now. And I have this neighbor. It's a really sweet little lady in her 80s that's just got the kindest heart, you know. And before I moved in, she had lived there, but something with the water tables here, she had to have a drain put underneath my yard, but it was with the previous owners. But she's been so grateful, like that's such a blessing, and so thankful that she's out always like giving me gifts that, you know, she's made me pies at Thanksgiving. She gave me like $100 2 Christmases in a row with a card saying, thank you, thank you. And to me, it's not a big deal, but to her it is. But subconsciously, or maybe even consciously, I felt this sense of shame. Like I am not an empathetic person because this lady has been so grateful and has been blessing me with this money and pies. And one year she got me a mom. And I've done really nothing for her because I've been so focused on myself and I have all I could do to survive. Like, and every year when we rake the leaves, I could barely get mine raked up, even with the help of my sons. And my leaves will always blow into her yard because I have a huge oak tree. And I'd always feel bad because I'm like, my leaves are in her yard and I have not, you know, went over there to rake her yard. I should do that. I should. But today I just did it without even thinking about it.
Nice.
To bless her. And so that was a big deal, especially not
Very
feeling.
nice. Good job. Yeah.
Not that I have empathy. It was just the fact that I have been so distraught and just in survival mode for so many years.
Yeah.
That I could barely just keep my head above water. I was just doing the best I could. Looking back on it, I have to forgive myself because I was doing the best I could. And when I couldn't even take care of myself, I wasn't going to be thinking about other people, but it wasn't because I didn't care. And now I'm realizing like I'm able to bless other people.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I'm hearing from you is before it used to be you weren't feeling good and it's like very focused on the outside world and like what can I change about my life? What can I like?
Shining armor comes along, I can live. As soon as this person fixes me, I'm going to be whole. And I didn't realize I already was whole. I didn't need anybody else to give me that because it's a bottomless pit. Because once you get on that, you're going to want more and more and more. Because nobody's going to be able to meet that. Because number one, they're human and they make mistakes and people leave and people die. It just things change. And then just being present in the now. Because all we have is now. You can't look at the past because you can't change that.
Yeah.
That's in the past.
Yeah.
You can't look at the future because you don't know what it's going to bring. All we have is now, and just to sit and focus, you know, savor the little things in that moment because it's very sacred and it's not something I can put into words, but you know, from the moment you get up, you know, your first cup of coffee, you're sitting there and just being mindful. You're not going to get that moment back. And if you're sitting there thinking about your past and the woe is me, you're going to miss so much in your life.
Now you're making me think about what I missed this morning.
I mean,
this is awesome. Like it's good to see that smile on your face. It's good.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this is kind of the most cheerful I've seen you, and it feels
I mean, I'm
genuine.
still down, but I'm at peace. It's what the other thing is, just allowing what is there. It's a process, but
Yeah.
just accepting. I can't put it into words, but it's just like there's beauty and there's this sacredness in the moment, and just taking it for, what how is this going to help me become a better person? How am I going to grow from this experience,
Yeah.
instead of looking at my past like, oh, I screwed up, I was like reactive in my last relationship and it's my fault and nobody's ever going to love me. No, that's in the past, let it go.
Yeah. 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 That's great. So I think I should kind of return back to that original question, is like, where do you want to go from here?
I just now started thinking of, because I mean, it's not that you're just thinking of the now. I mean, you just don't obsess about the future, but sometimes you do have to plan. And I
Yeah.
did just start thinking about, so, okay, we worked on my anxious side, but there's still a little bit of the avoidance.
Hmm.
Because I get like this when I'm single, and like what my plan is moving forward as far as dating,
Hmm.
um, and putting myself out there, because I'm learning to connect with myself and, finding my identity and hobbies and interests and taking care of myself. But in addition to connecting with my own self, there is that piece missing where I haven't really been connecting to other people like I
Hmm.
could.
Yeah.
Um, so just maybe, I need to start making a mental list of what are the qualities that I am looking for in a romantic partner. Because in the
Hmm.
past, yeah, oh well, I have this attraction, there's mutual vibration, we're on the same, energy levels, but overlooking, the major things that maybe didn't line up.
Okay. So I mean, do you kind of have a list in mind, or I guess like kind of like things that come up for me is like, what's your love language?
My love language, my top two is, and I didn't know this before, so I didn't have like no identity, it was just unstable. It would be quality time, closely followed by physical touch, for sure.
Okay. So that's a good place to start. Um, so a list is coming up with a list is something, yeah, sounds important. How are you planning to meet people? What are you thinking about?
That's the $1 billion question.
How do you,
Ideally, it's nice to meet people in groups, and just because I think the dating world is so messed up. I mean, there's a lot of people just go into it. Like, I just feel like you need to build a foundation, ideally, but that's
so
hard.
are you not a fan of online dating?
It's not that I'm not a fan, it's just you have to weed through a lot.
You do,
And
but
what's this Rolodex of, you don't always get a lot on there. So it becomes like shopping for, like, it's kind of shallow in some ways, depending on what
mm,
app. Like, oh, yeah, you have to go by the visual. And I'm more looking into the whole package deal,
yeah,
what are their values? And they can tell you whatever on there, but
yeah. And I mean, I guess in my mind, like, if you're thinking about dating, I'd say it's worth it to spend some time weeding, worth it to spend some time going through some people and finding one that you really connect with, so that you're less likely to be hurt in the future.
right. And I had started to do that right away, which was, looking back on it, was I wasn't ready for that after the breakup. And I mean, I had the right mindset as far as like what you're saying. Yeah, just not having high expectations. Just, it's
Hmm.
kind of like practice. Is that what you mean?
Well, I just mean that, like, the goal is kind of like long-term happiness. So if you're trying to find someone to date right away, that's probably not going to work out.
Oh,
So if
yeah.
instead you take it slow, And like
Yeah.
methodically, kind of you take a little bit of time every week to kind of go through it, see if there's someone you really connect with. If there is, like, go out on a date, find out if there's someone worth seeing more. And if not, you just kind of keep going until you find someone that actually works for you.
Yeah, it's kind of time consuming, but the
It
challenge is
is.
all these messages and then you got to weed through them and then I don't know, like, so how do you know which ones?
Well, how many, so it's kind of like, in my mind, you start off with like, how much time do you want to dedicate to this process?
Like
And
with
once you
everything.
kind of figure
Right.
how much time you want to spend in a week doing it, then you kind of, well, maybe you shouldn't be talking to 30 people at a time. Or
Yeah, that would be a bit much.
so like maybe talking to 1 or 2 people, 3 people at a time.
Better option though. That's where.
What's that?
What if you start talking to one and then another one messages you and it's a better option and then feel like you're like juggling. So then
Well,
I
I mean, are you okay talking to 2 people at a time, 3 people at a time?
talk to maybe 2 or 3. Yeah.
Okay, so this is like, kind of put that as your boundary, 2 or 3 people at a time.
And then just ignore the other messages or hide my profile if somebody's trying to message me after I already got.
Yeah, hide your profile. I imagine most systems have some way of hiding your profile.
But what about that one? Just don't worry about it and just trust the process, I guess.
Just trust the process. Let time go by,
Or you're gonna
and
have
don't.
avoidant tendencies on the other end.
Hmm.
You're gonna see that. So
I
I
mean,
am.
you're gonna have to work through your avoidance, but yeah, they're probably gonna see your avoidance, and that probably will chase away people who aren't right for you.
I don't know about that. It feels like they chase me more because they like the challenge.
Well, that's
So, within
something
reason,
that's
I have something, but I'm not that type. Like I don't like to lead people on. So there's that. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't want to
So,
hurt anybody.
but this is the thing. It's like you're talking to 2 to 3 people at a time, and you hide yourself on the system so you don't end up getting more matches, and you kind of go through that and you give it a little bit of time, and eventually you're like, well, this person's worth dating or this person's not. If they're not, you kind of take them off the list and you put yourself back on until you find another person to talk to, and you keep doing this. And it is time consuming, but you decide how much time during a week you want to do it, and you don't rush yourself. You give yourself a long period of time.
Mhm.
Like, is there a reason you're rushed to like find someone new right now?
Remember, I'm avoidant.
Yeah. So yeah, you have
So
time.
opposite. I need to like encourage myself a little more because truth is I probably wouldn't date unless somebody was like in the beginning seriously chasing me. And I don't know how
Hmm.
those tables turn because it's like I'm one extreme or the other, and it's so frustrating.
So why do you have this
I
desire to date someone who's chasing
didn't
you?
want you to begin with, and now
So why do you have this desire to date someone who's chasing you? Where is that coming from?
I don't.
So why does it happen?
Because in the beginning, I think, well, got to start somewhere. Let's just give this guy a chance. What happens is they don't. I mean, in the past, I'm getting healthier. I'm just telling you what it was before. But what
Yeah, I get you.
like
I get you.
until they were about ready to move on, and I'd be like, wait, I actually like you. And
Hmm.
then they get one over on me. And then they're
So
in
what
control.
so what I'm hearing happens is like they kind of put something out and you don't really feel anything from it. And then they
Um,
put something else out.
I mean, sometimes because I mean, there's gonna be some level of attraction, or I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not enough to kind of like
Get
push you over the
over
edge. Is that a
that.
better way?
Get over the one before. And I'm
Sorry, I
like,
missed
man,
that.
usually it was because the unhealthy Melanie, I was trying to get a, because I can't
Ah,
let go. I'm trying to get a hold of, or rid over the one before because they moved on or, they weren't giving me attention. So I'm like, well, I guess I got to do this because I'm never going to get over the last one.
okay. Yeah, but we're working on the two separately now. We're working on, you getting over the previous one,
I'm
and we're
trying to,
talking about the future dating. We're not talking about you dating someone right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
right, because you got to heal from the one before. I
Yeah.
think because I mean, we did break up in September.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah. Yeah, just
I
a
did that.
little bit of time just for stability. But either way, we're not talking about tomorrow. We're talking about theoretical. What is dating like?
Yeah, just going out with like no expectation. I mean, just it could be. I mean, I think I could do that now.
Okay. Okay.
I'm close. I'm close.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to make this decision for you.
I
You
think
have to decide.
thing is, I guess what I can do is I can try it and see what comes up inside me and be mindful. And if I'm not ready, then I can just step back and be like, you know what, I really wasn't ready.
Yeah. And we're going to talk again in 2 weeks. So, if something happens in between then and there, we can talk about that process, what it was like. And the truth is, dating might end up causing some more waves, and that might gives us more
Oh,
stuff to talk about.
I know well. I'm yeah, well aware that it's gonna,
Yeah.
it can
All
set you
right.
back at first.
Yeah. More, but you're seeing right now that like feeling the emotions is not actually the bad part.
No.
Yeah. So you have so even if you kind of go back into the waves, you see this perspective right now, and you've kind of been with this perspective a little bit.
Yeah, it's when you try to push it away, it's gonna make it more powerful.
Yeah.
And I'm learning, yeah, to just sit with it.
Yeah.
And
All right.
it's
All right.
soft.
So we're talking about dating now. So
Yeah.
you meet someone, and immediately there's some interest. You have a little interest. They have a little interest, but it kind of gets to the point where they're almost pulling away before you kind of go in. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I think, see, I have all these I realize through my years of counseling, I have all these unwritten rules for
Mhm.
intimacy due to my strict religious upbringing as part of it, like how long I have to wait before having, because to me, I'm wrapping it around the sexual act, and if I'm being really honest,
Yeah,
but
go
not
for it.
sharing it with the other person. That's what my counselor had told me. And then I have like all these rules wrapped up into this, like I have to wait, so many months, like
Mhm.
try to wait 3 months. And in my mind, if I've waited that long, then it's like this person is mine and
Mm,
making it bigger than what it is. And then so once I cross that line, and I think it happens a lot anyways, is in relationships, something changes.
mhm.
We become more vulnerable because it's like, the
Yeah.
closest you get the expression during the
I
act.
think.
And then it kind of like maybe freaks me out a little bit. And then maybe them
Mm,
too, who knows. And then things change after that. And then
mhm.
I think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to be stereotypical either, but for a lot of men, once that
Mhm.
happens, like maybe it scares them and they step back, just from like stuff I've read too in my experience.
I could imagine that.
Kind of scared. It
I
doesn't,
don't.
but then me in my fear of abandonment, it kind of was like, it triggers me. And I'm like, oh, what are they doing? Because, and then I'm mad because here they spent all this time chasing me to reel me in. And then I just feel like so cheapened by it. And that's not really what it is. But
Yeah.
my negative thoughts have told me,
Yeah.
okay, that's all that it was about. And now you're not going to talk to me. And so I make it worse and I self-sabotage sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but it doesn't always end. It doesn't usually end there. So what happens is it becomes this hot and cold thing, usually for like
Mhm.
a year and a half. Like come here, go away. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
talking about when I was really unhealthy.
Yeah. And what I'm kind of hearing you describe is, to me, sounds like fearful avoidant dating. And
Totally.
like you could
Yes.
put, like, you're putting these variables in there, but there could be different variables in there that would kind of be the same factor. It's kind of like you're running away and they're chasing, and then something emotional happens and they feel emotional, so then they kind of get avoidant for a moment. You feel that avoidance, so then you start chasing, and
Yeah.
then it's just like this hot cold back and forth.
No,
What's that?
they still always win, but it's probably was my self-sabotage. I would set it up that way subconsciously, and know that it would always have to be me getting my heart broke.
I mean, I think you're taking a little bit, maybe a little too much responsibility there. I don't think you can take all the responsibility
Oh, no,
for the relationship.
they had their own issues too, because I was choosing that type of person to date
Yes.
who had
Yes.
this as me. Where if I would
And
have, yeah, been
and
with
I
somebody able,
I kind of look at it from the perspective of like, if neither person is taking responsibility in the relationship, it's probably just gonna play out patterns. And like for people that are really secure, like often it's kind of easier to get to a place where they're a lot more deeper and connected, and it's easier to kind of like for both people to take responsibility in the relationship. So the only thing you can really do is take more responsibility on your side.
yeah, except for when I'm triggered, then I'm not. But that's just a quick thing. But you're right. Yep.
Yeah.
Not
So
getting people
so like starting
else.
out by kind of understanding your dating patterns, noticing when it feels like someone's chasing you, and if you have this desire to like go after them when they pull away, like maybe that's not the healthiest relationship for you to have.
Not at all. Yeah.
And but maybe kind of when someone is starting off showing interest in you, like I don't know, like I don't want to tell you to go have interest in some person you actually don't have interest in. Like maybe wait till you find someone that you feel connected to, and if you feel kind of like avoidant during this
Oh,
process,
no,
like
but as if
that's
they're working on their issues, it's okay. There'll be another one of me, maybe.
yeah. But what I'm saying is the more you work on yourself during this process, the more likely you're going to find someone else who's working on themselves as well.
Yeah.
Like
And I know that much. I definitely want somebody that's self-aware and is working on their issues, or at the very least that they can admit.
mhm.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is beyond kind of like the filtering process for that, and just it's kind of like the more you kind of work on yourself during this process, the more likely you're going to naturally find someone who is working on themselves. So
Right.
like if
Because
you meet someone and like they have a really kind of like anxious energy, and you're noticing that and you're kind of pulling back, it's like, okay, well, this person's probably not right for me, and cut it off. Don't wait for them to like pull away, or if they pull away, be like, you know I appreciate you, I don't think this is going to work out for us.
and maybe keep my pants on for a while longer. I mean,
Yeah, probably a good idea. I mean, I'm not saying you have to wait 3 months, but
my, I just tell me, yeah.
yeah,
Make sure
yeah,
they're all, yeah.
yeah,
It's not a time thing. It's, yeah, just knowing that I have the foundation established with this other person.
yeah, yeah,
My
yeah.
value is important to me.
Make sure that you can have like real open conversations about intimacy. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if one of the things that you're struggling with is like you have sex and then this person like pulls away, like make sure sex is a topic you two feel comfortable talking about before that happens.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Because I mean, there can be a lot of emotions with that, and it does seem like a lot of people like have sex before they're ready, and it, you know, often brings up avoidance, and that often does spark up like patterns of going back and forth.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. All right, I won't say any more about it, but yeah.
No, what's on your mind?
Well, I think a lot of other women just kind of ruin it too. Like everybody likes to blame the men, but I think a lot of men, I mean, ultimately everybody wants true, genuine intimacy. The older we get, I think. I mean, it's rare. Maybe there's some that don't. They just want to roll in the hay. But I also think that I don't know if it's like a test.
Hmm.
Because I don't want to put all men in the same, but like they're wanting the woman that's going to be higher value. So if they're going to put themselves out there, they're going to take the low hanging fruit, but they're secretly probably going to be disappointed. The woman that they're really going to want to be with, long term, is the one they have the foundation with. It's not their fault.
I don't like this whole low value, high value stuff myself.
Saying that
I mean,
if
I'll reframe it.
but certain people, like
I
that saying,
agree that like I think people want someone else that they have like a real foundation with. I think people are looking for security. And I think that's what people actually want. And people will take insecure relationships often if that's what's out there and they kind of are struggling with that insecurity themselves.
yeah,
But I think at people's cores, yeah, they want that security. They want that foundation. They want something that they can grow from because that is a relationship they're more likely to stay in.
they just don't
And
know how to go about it. Maybe, I don't know.
yeah, I think, I mean, I don't think people, I mean, look at the divorce rate. And I mean, I'm not even knocking divorce. I think divorce can actually be really healthy for a lot of people if they're in unhealthy relationships. Because I think, we're actually pretty bad at relationships overall.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That's why dating's hard to find one that, somebody that really is truly working on it, because most people,
But when you say that, yes, but also like can be really hard to kind of go into it in a secure way where one is going to find someone who kind of matches that energy. And if you go into a relationship in an insecure way, you're going to find people that are more insecure. Like if you go out there and you find someone who's acting anxious and and you don't show that you're interested in them until they start pulling away, like to me that sounds like an insecure attachment pattern that is going to affect the longevity of that relationship and the happiness for both people. But I
well,
think that's really common.
it's going to make it really hard. Like, it's not that you can't overcome it. You can work on it together, but
Yeah.
yeah.
It's going to make it a lot harder. It's going to be a lot more work. And maybe there's value in that. And if you find two people that go into a hard relationship and are willing to go get counseling, have the capability to go get counseling and like work through that, like, you
Yeah.
can learn a lot about yourself. But
Yeah.
I personally, I'm not really looking for that journey. I don't know very many people that are like really looking
So
for
like you would,
that. I feel like,
or yeah, like you were like in it, and then you start having this awakening, and you're like, oh, I got to work on this because
yeah,
I'm self-sabotaging in this relationship, and you're still in it, and you care about that person, and they can
yeah.
see it too. I can see the point of that.
Because you have, in my mind, you have a lot more power to change yourself than you do change a relationship. So if you
Oh,
do the work before you go in and the work in the way that you go in, there's a better chance for stability.
for sure. Yep.
Yeah.
But you're never going to be perfectly stable either. So I can see
Yeah.
both sides, to be honest. I can see both sides. And then it'll, it depends who you ask. But
You're
I mean,
you
of
aren't
what
you
till you have, like had enough in your recovery versus, well, I still have a long journey ahead, but I think I'm far enough along. I'm going to start dating, that kind of thing.
so when I kind of hear you talk about this, it's like, yeah, we all have some instability and the other person often has some instability.
Yeah.
And it kind of comes to the same point of you meet each other, you start dating, some of that instability comes out, and then you kind of make a choice. Do you separate or do you work on it together? And I don't think there's a right choice there
Oh,
either, because it's like there's this whole idea that I have to be with one person for the rest of my life. I just don't know that that's necessarily true unless two people decide. What?
you're breaking my heart, destroying my ideals. It's okay.
Unless two people
You're-
decide that's what they want to do. And there are a lot of people who make that decision and they decide that, hey, this is a person that like I feel stable enough with, or I'm in a situation where this makes sense and I want to just like work it through with this person. Or other people are like, no, like, I had learning process with this person. I'm going to leave. We're going to separate. Maybe we can be friends. Maybe we can't be friends depending on the situation. But like, I learned my lesson here and now I'm more mature, I'm more stable, and I'm going to like go in a more secure way in the next relationship. And you can just
Well, I
keep
think as long as they're
choosing one or the other.
is the key in any
What's that?
relationship. Communication and the ability to be vulnerable and put yourself, I think that is just the key, beautiful thing to be with another person.
Could you
That's
say
what
that again?
vulnerability with the other
Well,
person.
yeah. Yeah,
It's
but there's still going to be some instability. So there's still a choice to work
just
with them.
scared to death, just being able to, like, instead of giving them a half message, but when
Yeah.
you're able to identify and you're just like, listen, I really care about you, I'm scared to death, instead of playing this hot and cold game, just tell them, take ownership of it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Because then that takes the pressure off of them
Yeah.
too. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No, I
I'm
mean, if
yeah,
you gotta own your feelings and really let the other person know what you're feeling. Otherwise, like, they're not going to know.
no, they're gonna left. It's this guessing game.
Yeah, and then both of you can kind of play the game where you try to get the other person to admit to their feelings first, but neither person feels like the other person feels they're feeling anything, and not necessarily the most fun.
No. And back to that thing though, I'm looking for my soulmate and I'm looking for long term. So
Okay, that's good. That's
hey,
I like that. I like that. So let's.
a little old couple that have been married, that's so rare, but they've been married like 50, 60, 70 years, and they're walking down the street, they can barely walk, they get their walkers, and but they're holding hands. That's what I want.
All right, all right, all right. I like it. I like it.
Yes.
So let's talk about kind of how do you get there? And I guess the thing that my first thought on that is you take this project as something that you really want to do seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that like when someone comes up and you're noticing these the kind of anxious patterns and you're noticing some avoidance, like do some type of exercise to be aware of those patterns. Like I would say take some time to journal and write down the feelings that you're having and the thoughts that you're having so that you can be more cognitive in your process.
Mm-hmm. You mean what I noticed in the other person?
Well, notice what you notice, write down what you notice about the other person, but also see if you can notice the feelings that you're having.
Mm-hmm.
Are you feeling avoidant when you see this other person, right? Can you notice the anxiety underneath that avoidance?
Yeah, I don't know. I notice I start nitpicking at first, but then there's something endearing about it too. Like it's familiar, but maybe it'll be different now.
Yeah. So
Practice.
that's the thing. It's like you don't know what's going to happen in the future. So that's just writing down what's there.
It may be totally different now.
Yeah.
But I'd be curious to find out.
Yeah, but so like if your goal is to have someone that you want long term, you want to find someone else who probably has the same goal and go slowly into it, be very methodical, take a little bit of time each week to work on this so the project itself isn't overwhelming you, and don't expect to finish this project quickly. Like take your time with it so you're not attached.
I'm going to enjoy the journey.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, probably no, true intimacy is supposed to be the best part, but getting to know somebody it's
what is true intimacy if it's not getting to know somebody?
I mean, when you actually, true intimacy is, well, if you break down the word, I think it means I see you, you see me. It's just like being able to bare your soul to that other person and see, like, breaking down the walls and just sharing who you are as a person with them.
Okay. I get
being able
sorry, what?
being able to be your true self with that other person.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So in my mind, that means going at a speed where you feel safe being yourself with this
Right.
new
You don't
person.
overnight. It's not oversharing
Yeah.
your right, because that's the other piece that like the
Yeah.
anxious like is like yeah.
But also watching any fears you have of scaring the other person away by being yourself.
Fear. Hmm. Do I do that?
I
Yeah,
don't
maybe.
I don't know. Like I'm not trying to tell you kind of
I think
what
it's
you're.
different it depends who the partner is.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I do give half messages and I didn't know that. A half
Hmm.
message, like I'm thinking I'm opening up to them, but they're left to guess what the rest of the message is. Because a lot of times I don't want to, like if I want to spend time with them, and I'm not sure how they feel about spending time with me. I'm trying to think of an example. Like say it was my birthday and I've had this happen, like high expectations that my birthday is going to be spectacular. And I'm wanting to spend time with the person that I've been dating. This happened to me. So this is a good example. But I don't want to look desperate and needy. So apparently it's better to do that. Like to actually say, you know what? I would love to go out for dinner with you on my birthday. What do you
Mhm.
think? But instead I'll send a half message like, and they will too, because they're the same as me. This happened where he was like, did you figure out plans for your birthday? But he's like hinting around that he wanted to get together with me. And I'm like, I'm not sure because I'm waiting for him. I want him to chase.
Yeah.
But what
Yeah. Yeah.
happened,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I get this all wrapped up inside my brain. And then that story with, oh, I'm not good enough because he's not coming out to ask, which he's got his own thing. And then what happens is it backfires. And then my birthday comes and he's still hanging around. And then I went out for dinner by myself and he sends me a message at like 7 o'clock. Cause I said, oh, I'm spending the day with my parents and my
Mhm.
kids because I was off work. It was in the summer. This was a few years ago. So I don't know. He just assumed the whole day was gone. And I'm secretly like so sad. I took myself out for dinner. He messages me at like 7 o'clock and I didn't answer right away because I wanted
Mhm.
him to think that I wasn't bothered by it. Like I'm out having fun.
So
Yeah,
what I
that's all, Melanie. And then he
yeah.
said, I would have went out with you. But like I made my emotions got higher, and I triggered myself instead of just saying, hey, would you like to get together? Like it would have been better to do that. And then I looked more crazy because I didn't tell him how I felt.
Yeah.
That's an
Yeah.
example.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't
And
want to be desperate and clingy.
yeah. 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 So what I'm hearing is you have these like concepts of desperate and clingy in your head. And this is like from just like some story that's kind of out there. But like really what we're talking about is owning your desires.
It's better just to
Yeah.
just say and be vulnerable and risk it.
Yeah.
And if you
And
don't like
and you
that,
could,
that's on him.
if you kind of want the fantasy of like, one thing you could do is you could say like, hey, I'd really like it if you'd asked me out to do something for my dinner. I want to see you for my I want to see you for my birthday, but I want you to ask me because it'll feel good if you ask me.
Or how about this say, it would feel good to get together with you on my
Yeah.
birthday. That
What
way it's
what
still his court instead of, I would like you to, I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's good. It would
Just
feel good
having
if you did
energy.
this. Yeah.
Lynn.
What I'm saying is, if you don't want to actually initiate your birthday, and it would also feel good if they initiate, you could tell them it would feel good if you initiated something for my birthday. I'm gonna say yes, but like it would feel good if you initiated it.
It would feel good if we could get together on my birthday, or if you would, oh, how could you word that? You mean as far as like them picking out the restaurant and that kind of thing?
Yeah,
Like it's,
it would feel good if, well, it depends. Like it depends kind of like
yeah,
what is your actual desire? Do you want them to be like, hey, would you like to go out on your birthday with me? Or like what are you actually wanting from them? Like what
I
is
want
the
them to chase
thing?
me.
What's that?
I want them to chase me sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. So what you do is you tell them like, hey, it would feel really good if you like messaged me in a couple days and said something like really sweet to me and was like, hey, I'd really like it if we could go out and do something for your birthday. And then you'd get like the both experiences of them kind of like inviting you out for your birthday and you'd go out for your birthday.
Still not quite right, but it's better than the other. Or times when they have, you could say it felt really good when you asked
Yeah.
me to do that with you. So like catch them
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
good
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
because they're gonna feel like criticized when
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but if they're feeling criticized from that, I mean,
a lot of work to do. Yeah.
yeah,
Back to
like
what
to me that's showing some kind of work on their side, and maybe that means that's someone you don't really connect
you're right.
with. Like, are they meeting your needs? If you can't just tell them,
The old
like,
Melanie was right up, that was right up
like,
her alley.
like, do you want to date someone who doesn't want to spend your birthday with you? Why are you dating them?
Well, I think what happened was they were insecure like me, and for whatever reason, they didn't know that I wanted them to as well.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
No, I would.
I'm saying
No. If there was a guy that was totally no, I'd be done. Even
what I'm saying is like if you can't say to him, it would feel good if we did something for my birthday. And then he didn't after that want to do something with you for your birthday. Like, why are you dating this person?
you're right. It was just, I mean,
It was the anxiety pattern that made it
it was
challenging in the past, but we're kind of drawing your future and assuming that we're talking about how to kind of get around that pattern. But if you get around that pattern and you find someone who is then not meeting your needs,
yeah. But what I'm saying is, I guess I really wouldn't have been attracted to that. It's just the fact, for some reason in my mind, I thought that they weren't going to want to, but really they probably did. I don't know if I'm saying that right,
you are,
but
you are, you are.
they were scared like me. So we were both assuming that the other one didn't want to. The guys, yeah, that was his example, but other guys I've been with too. Like we both assumed the wrong.
Yeah, yeah. And if you kind of have the same, if you have the back and forth and you have that anxiety pattern going between the two of you, like if you want something, you kind of got to step up and ask for it. And you
Yeah.
can also say things to them like if you're kind of seeing in the reverse where they're not asking for things, you can tell them like, hey, it feels really good for me when you ask me for things.
Mm-hmm.
And like let them know.
Mm-hmm.
And then let them either succeed or fail.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's vulnerable. You're putting your like your heart on your shoulder and there's a chance that you could say something and it's not going to work out. But like if they fail, they fail, and that gives you information about how you want to interact with this person.
Mm-hmm. So that's all fearful avoidance stuff.
To me, it sounds like it. To like
I
the back and forth, yeah. Because if we were talking kind of if we were talking more anxious, preoccupied, and DA, then you wouldn't have the back and forth because like the DA is not going to start chasing, and the
mm,
anxious side is going to keep kind of like the anxious side will just keep chasing the DA, and the DA is not going to chase back. But like with the FA, it's kind of like, my turn to chase. Oh, your turn to chase, and he kind of
I mean, I lean more anxious, it seems, in these relationships, but it's yeah, that's why
yeah.
it was
Yeah. I mean, and it's natural to lean to one side or the other. And to me, it sounds like you are attracted to people who lean on the other side. So they're FA, but they lean avoidant.
they're not like fully avoidant, I don't think. But I don't know, I maybe had in my younger years a few strict avoidant, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I don't, yeah,
Never had
I
it,
think,
I'm pretty sure. Because that would be too
yeah.
much. Yeah, I'd be like, whoa. I'd be like, oh, that's a little too close.
So we're talking about your needs. We're talking about going forward. We're talking about how to think about dating. We're talking about process, and we're talking about you being open and vulnerable,
Scary
putting
stuff.
that fear out there.
But I'm excited. Wow.
Yeah. Hmm. Anything else we should talk about on this call, or is this a good place to stop?
I think we're good.
All right. Well, thank you so much for another great conversation. And I hopefully we'll get it worked out, and we'll do a live session in 2 weeks.
2 more weeks. Yeah. Let's be December.
Yeah, or we'll figure it out one way or the other. But always good talking, and see you
I
later.
just, one thing
What's
though,
that? Yeah,
thank you,
yeah. What do you want to say?
thank you, because I don't think you get, told that enough. So thank you so much for encouraging me and trusting me enough to do this, to put it on YouTube. So
Oh, I mean, I really appreciate that. I really do. And thank you. I love doing this. I think this is a great conversation that we're having. And I think it's actually really interesting kind of recording this process from the beginning and kind of going through. And I'm glad that, like, despite us being done with the private sessions, at least for now, that you want to kind of keep doing this project and see where this goes. So
yeah,
yeah, love it.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.